In reality, as soon as the talks began, Kulmiye was back in the fray. Discussions on the code of conduct were very tough and tense at times, but they were carried out in good faith, and the opposition took an active role.
The issues we wanted the code of conduct to address, and which took most of our time and attention, were to do with regulating the use of public resources during the elections, such as government vehicles, public funds, and the public media. What we were talking about the most was the radio and the national television, which were being used 24 hours a day to attack and consistently condemn us, something everyone's aware of. The opposition was always complaining about a lack of equal access to public funds, public radio and television. Such accusations against the ruling party are common in Somaliland and across Africa. However, we felt addressing this important issue was imperative for the fairness of the election, and we were willing to have regulations that not only apply to today's election, but to all future elections. After all, at the next election, we know we could become the opposition. When the opposition political parties were being unreasonable, however, we had to stop them going too far.
To win the confidence of the opposition, the National Electoral Commission had to provide some assurances that the agreements would be more than just ink on paper.
I had to tell the opposition that this would be a binding agreement signed by either the Vice President or the President, and as such they would be compelled to adhere to and respect it. If they breached it, the least we would do is tell the public and the world that the government had breached an agreement signed with the opposition. Another confidence-building measure was the formation of an independent monitoring board committee to monitor compliance with the Code of Conduct.
Despite these reassurances from the National Electoral Commission, the opposition remained very skeptical about government compliance with the Code of Conduct.
The Code of Conduct was a very good document, but the reality was that no body or law could prevent the government from using public resources, since it had the resources in its hands. Though we were aware of that, we continued to participate in the discussions for the sake of coming up with something. I knew that some of the issues would be hard to regulate, but despite that, we preferred to let the process go on.
The Code of Conduct is eventually agreed, a signal that the three political parties are committed to free, fair, and peaceful elections. Media guidelines for the election period, developed with the help of the Academy and the BBC World Service Trust, and sanctioned by the Commission, are also agreed by Somaliland's two media associations at the same ceremony. The parliamentary elections were the most significant test yet of the strength of the political parties. Just how rooted are they in the Somaliland body politic?
It was the role of the political parties to select their respective candidates to prove that they were relevant as a party. That did not happen because not one party selected its own candidates. The clan held behind-the-scenes meetings to select their candidate or candidates. Then the clans were forwarding their respective candidates to the political parties, and the parties were accepting them without objection.
Some even accused the political parties of actively taking the country back to clan politics rather than forward to multi-party democracy.
The person was not being selected on the basis of his or her program or accomplishments, but rather on the basis of his or her clan. Therefore, the political parties failed to play their democratic role and took the country back to clan politics, which we were supposed to be moving away from.
The reality is that the political parties were attempting to assert their relevance as a political body quite separate from the clan, but the clan was simply too strong.
During the nomination process, our party established a committee responsible for selecting the party candidates, and I was a member of that committee. We devised a criteria for selecting the party's candidates. In one incident, the elders in one of the clans in Somaliland brought us a candidate of their choice to replace the party candidate we had selected from their clan. We refused to accept the candidate. They insisted, saying that unless we nominated their choice, the clan would not vote for the party. We stuck with our party candidate, but the clan was right. The party's candidate did not get the vote of his clan. He lost the election. The electorates in Somaliland are not mature enough for multi-party democracy. I believe the political parties had a good start. Our experience in party politics is limited. So far, there are very few people involved in the activities of the three political parties in relation to the population of the country. So, given the time constraints, basing their nomination process on clan lines was the best option for them under the current circumstances.
The strength of the clan system denied nomination opportunities to two disenfranchised and marginalized groups in Somaliland society. Women, despite being the majority of the voting population, were not considered for nomination by the parties.
Women belong to different clans like everybody else. But the problem is not that women's loyalty is often questioned. They often say to us, which clan will you represent? The one you're married to or your clan family?
Neither were the members of the Gaboye kinship. Historically, the members of the Golaha Gaboye have formed an endogamous community whose members perform tasks considered menial by others, noble or Aji Somalis, leatherworking, metalworking, hairdressing, shoemaking, and pottery. Unlike other Somalis, who are typically associated with one or more well-defined localities, the Golaha Gaboye are found throughout the Somali territories, living as clients of the dominant noble groups. They may not intermarry with other Somalis, and conventional paths to social mobility are not open to them.
The political parties were choosing candidates on three grounds: the size of his clan in a given area, as every clan is dominant in one area, the wealth or influence of his clan, and being part of the party clique. So our disadvantaged groups were disqualified on these grounds. We are the poorest of the poor, and though we live everywhere, we're not concentrated in any one area where the political parties could see we might come first or second in the elections.
The Gaboye also fault the way the political parties selected their two candidates.
The way the political parties selected our two candidates was not like the way other clans selected theirs. The political parties allowed the other major clans to nominate their candidate of choice, but for us, the political parties imposed their choice of our candidate on us.
It's now August the 14th, one day before the start of the election campaign. But there's another delay. Election